Hello, this is Thomas, K4SWL. If you're new here, I like to do real-time, real-life amateur radio field activation videos. And today I'm at Tuttle Educational State Forest under their picnic shelter here. I see a balloon up there. Must have had a party up here not too long ago. Yeah, and I'm under the picnic shelter because it's been a really rainy day. It's been raining off and on. Even the floor in here you can see is really wet. Yeah, I'm out here. The park rangers told me I could use this picnic shelter when it's not being used. And at this time of the year, I don't even think they have any school groups coming here. So it's not a problem for me to use this. Today, I am going to show you a complete setup of how I can do an activation, hopefully using my Elecraft KX2 and the AX1 antenna. And you may notice, and I think the last time I did an activation under here with my AX1, I mentioned that this is a metal roof, not ideal, especially for a compromised antenna to begin with. But I do believe with parks on the air and summits on the air and things, you just kind of do it anyway. It may not be ideal antenna conditions, but hey, when it starts raining again, which I feel like it could at any moment, it just feels like it, I'll be ready and I'll be able to stay dry. Even considering making a cup of coffee, I'm not sure. But I haven't scheduled anything, I haven't done anything, and I thought what I would do is just take you through the entire process basically, but here in the field, because obviously I'm not doing anything from home. Typically try to schedule before I leave, but I just didn't do it today. I didn't know if I'd be able to fit this in. I am driving back to my QTH after a couple nights away, and I was passing by here, so I just couldn't resist. I need to come out and do an activation. I did an activation yesterday using my KX2, so my KX2 is in the bag. And in fact, everything I need is in this bag. More than what I need is in this bag right now. I brought this little blue bag along just in case I needed an extra battery or something like that, or key. I couldn't remember what I had packed in. But I've got a key. I've got everything in here. It's mainly just for the battery if I were to need it. I'm on probably activation number 3 or 4, with the battery that's in this KX2. But I'm pretty sure it'll make it through the activation without needing to change out the battery. In fact, I can probably get 2 more activations in. That battery's, the KX2 batteries are so good, and the radio is so efficient. So let's see. Let's get set up. I may start a cup of coffee. Let's see here. It feels like a kind of day for a cup of coffee, and if I'm being really honest here, I stopped at a little store called Food Matters in Morganton. It's one of my favorite little places to stop when I'm going through the area, because they have a great deli, and I really like their curried chicken salad wraps. And I got one of those, and then while I was waiting for it to be made, I looked over in their dessert section, don't tell my wife, and they had coconut chews, or what they call them, but they're like these bars with like coconut, and they're chewy, of course. And they have like chocolate drizzled on them. Oh my goodness, they're so great. They're really small actually. They're not huge, but oh, they're decadent. And so good. So it wouldn't hurt to actually have some coffee after that. Now, one issue is I've only got the water I have in this bottle, which is not a whole lot. And let me make sure I'm getting out the right thing. Yes, I am. And the truth is, if I can move this around, the truth is there's no way for me to get more water right now, unless I go to the ranger station, which I'm not planning to do that, because usually at the end of November here at Tuttle, they turn off all the water, so they don't have to worry about anything freezing or anything like that. So we'll do what we can do here. Let's go ahead and get this started so that while I'm hopefully working a few stations and setting up everything. There we go. Please tell me I've got some fuel in here, surely. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I think I've got enough to do this. I probably used it one other time. I keep a bottle of fuel in here too. I've got a little small bottle of fuel if I needed it. I have it in one of these little approved bottles. So if I needed more fuel, I've got it. And what I'm also going to do is use one of my titanium plates underneath it. And that is only really just to make sure that, it doesn't, you know, burn the table or something. I don't want to be that guy. So I'll set that there. And now everything else is in this pack. This is not going to be a gourmet coffee this time. Oh, good. I do have some more of these. I'm using up the Starbucks coffees. And they are instant, but there were some of the better instant coffees out there. Now, one of our readers, Rand, has recommended another brand of instant coffee. And I'll be honest, I'm not a fan of instant coffee at all. But I would rather have an instant coffee than to have a non-freshly ground real coffee, pour over or drip coffee. I'd rather have that because I find that when coffee's been ground and it's sitting in a bag for, you know, a couple of weeks, it just doesn't taste that great. I would rather have instant than that. So there you go. Okay, let's see. I need these standoffs here to put down. Now, some people will say, Thomas, you'd do a lot better if you had a cover for your mug. Which is very true. That would make a big difference, but I don't have one with me right now, so we're just going to do with it what we will. I also have, it's not breezy today. I'm not too terribly worried about keeping a windscreen. There's just enough in there for a cup. This ought to be fine. This is all blackened, by the way, and I don't even know if you can tell this in the video or not, but it's not from this little alcohol burning stove. This is an alcohol stove. It is not from that. This is because one of my little stoves actually runs off of just twigs and things. It's a solo stove, a little small solo stove. I use that all the time too, and it will definitely put soot all over all of these stainless steel mugs. I could clean it off, but I'm a little too lazy. I mainly use this to boil the water now, and then I'll go ahead and pour this in here. Again, you know, if you're a coffee snob, these are palatable. This is a French roast via instant. I don't even know if you can see that. Via instant from Starbucks. Let's see here. Okay, let's get this set up. Now we'll set up the station. It'll take this quite a few minutes to boil here. You can watch it for me while I get everything ready. Okay, let's hope I got the rest of this ready. In this little pack, by the way, I've got some oolong tea. Sometimes I have Earl Grey. Sometimes I have other black teas in here. This is the windscreen, and I could put it around there, probably boil it slightly faster. Definitely have to use that with an alcohol stove. It has to be used if there's any sort of wind at all. Okay, let's get the KX2 out. This guy set up. Okay, so I won't need anything else in here right now. I'm probably going to use another key besides the KX-PD2 this time. There we go. You may notice on my KX2, I've got like little scratches and stuff on this sort of plexiglass that's on here. That happens when you use a field radio. And frankly, I know I can always replace this if I need to. I don't worry about it with my radios. My field radios, I feel like, hey, if they're going to the field, I'm just not going to be picky about their appearance. I don't mind. them not being perfect. Okay, let's see. We still running here? Yeah, good. That water is fairly cold, I've got to be honest. It was at one point ice water. Which means it's probably going to work a little bit longer to get this. Now, there's one weird thing with the AX1. This has happened. I've actually had two different ones that do the same thing. This part here in the middle will get loose sometimes. And this plexiglass part will float around. And I have to retighten it. Not a big deal, though. Last time I used this was in Quebec City. In Old Quebec, actually. In the Plains of Abraham Park. And it was a very, very nice activation. It was a lot of fun. And it served me well for that activation. It was really windy, and I had to like put this through the loop, I think, the handle on my backpack to hold it up, if I remember correctly. Okay, see, I need to get my counterpoise out. The AX1 will not work well at all without a counterpoise. Now, I'm going to do 20 meters today, so this takes the 13-foot ground wire counterpoise. And where will I put that? Let's see. I'm just going to lay it on the ground over here. I don't want to keep too messy of a site, but who's even going to notice? Here we go. Lay this down on the ground. By the way, this would be a good time to mention that I put chapters in my videos. So if you're finding yourself kind of getting bored with this part, just go into the chapters, hover over the timeline in the video, and you can change it. You can just hop, skip, and jump through the video if you don't want to watch it all, which I wouldn't blame you. I don't know if I'd want to watch me. Okay. Let's see if we can get this in here, Woody. Come on, get in there. Yeah, there we go. So the counterpoise on the KX2, I always attach it. Let me take this off so I can show you. I always attach it down here underneath the this little lug. Elecraft made this specifically so that you could get a good ground contact in here. And that's exactly what I'll do here. And I just tighten that sucker down, and it gets a good ground connection. They kind of thought of everything. Now I'm going to stretch that out again, though. So I kind of want that counterpoise to be as deployed as well as I can here. And it's not elevated or anything like that. It's just laying on the ground, coupled with the ground. Okay. Water is slowly boiling. Extend this antenna. Now, the antenna on this is only like 5 feet tall or something like that, so there's not a whole lot of it to extend. It's about like having a shortwave portable radio or something. There we go. That's it. Let me show you how this looks from a distance here. We go back. So let me put my glasses on so I can see what I'm talking about here. Yeah, so the top of the antenna is like right there. It goes down. I mean, that's such a tiny little station. That's the thing about it. Like if you're an air traveler and you like to travel and maybe you do a little POTA, if you have the KX2 and the AX1 antenna, you could have other radios, of course, that pair with this. You can put this on a tripod or something and use it with any radio you please, but you need an ATU with it, unless you have a capacity hat, which I do have. But it'll fit in anything. It's just such a tiny little package. And can you do an activation with it? Well, let's hope we can. That's what I'm out here for today, is to do an activation. So let's hope that we can do that. Okay, let's get settled. Okay, do we have power? We do have power, good. It's always a positive. Just to keep things tidy, I'm going to put this up in my pocket. Never ever leave trash out. We'll listen to 61.5. Maybe if we're lucky, not many people will be there. And I need to get out my paper log, because I am going to paper log this guy. Oh, I need a paddle. Which paddle should I use? Which paddle should I use? We'll use this guy. ESP4. I think I used it yesterday. Did I use the ESP? I think I used it yesterday. I love this paddle. There we go. Now, I'm going to make sure I've got the ATU engaged, because I think I had it off yesterday. Bypass mode, yep. Got to engage the ATU. I'll need it with this. There we go. I'm going to set up my logs now. Even before I've done any spotting or anything, I'll set up my logs. Here we go. Okay, so I usually write at the top of my logs here. Bring this down a little bit so you can see better. Whoops. There we go. So what I usually do is write the name of the park. So Tuttle Educational State Forest. I believe it's K-4861. Now, I should know that because I activate this park all the time, but I am horrible at remembering numbers and things. I really am. I mean, that brings up something. People say, oh, I don't have the right number memory or whatever, or communications skills to do CW. That's just poppycock. Anybody can learn CW. You really can. I mean, there are people probably with some learning disabilities that really do impair them and make it hard for them to learn something like CW, but really CW is not that hard. And if I can do it, I promise you, you can probably do it way better than I can. Because I definitely have some mild dyslexia. We have dyslexia in our family, and I do fairly well, thanks to autocorrect or the spell checking when I write posts and stuff like that, but occasionally something will slip through. And where it really hits me, and what I don't like, is when I mess up a call sign by having like a letter reversed in it. Even though I hear the thing, I write it down incorrectly, and you've probably seen me do that if you've watched my videos before. And then I have to try to go back and correct those. And I don't like bugging the good folks that volunteer for POTA, but they'll always kind of fix it for you. So it's the 8th of December. I know I'll be on the 20-meter band, CW, and then I'll put in here I'm going to run 5 watts, and then AX1. I'll put KX2 here, and that way I just remember when I'm looking at this what I was doing. I don't always write that in, but I'm going to do it this time. Now, it's time to set up hammers. So I go in here, start the Hammers app, and I go into the logbook, new logbook, put in my call sign this is to title it at K-4861 2022 12 and 08. Yeah, yesterday was Pearl Harbor. That's right. Pearl Harbor Remembrance Day, and Parks on the Air. Now I do this so that the title of it, when it exports it as an ADI file, it already has the file format that the POTA system is looking for. Now I'll go in here and tell it the band, 20 meters, CW, my call sign, my park, K4861, whoops, 4861. This is a good sign. I've got enough internet that it's looking up this stuff. I did it again, didn't I? 4861. Total Educational State Forest. And then I go up here and put in one. Usually I put in the model number of the radio I'm using and then save it as a contact. And I do that so that it'll remember all the settings. Oh, my coffee is done. Here we go. Now, since I'm not using a spoon or anything, what I'll do is take that off, stir this around in here. By the way, these things are called Hot Lips. I really love these Snow Peak titanium mugs. I love them. But when you're using real boiling water in them, you can really burn your lips if you're not careful, because titanium is such a wonderful conductor. I'll pour a little bit more in. Stir it around like that. And now I just pour the rest in. I think I'm good. I have made just the right amount of coffee, actually. That's perfectly fine. Excellent. And now I will take my multi-tool. This is the way I do it, at least. I take my multi-tool out, open it, use this to take the to take those off, set them down, and then use this to cover over the flame and put the flame out. Now that'll be hot for a little while, but it'll cool down pretty quickly. There we go. In fact, I'll set this here because it's been sitting on that, but it cools down relatively quickly, actually. This, by the way, I think I had this in my video that I shot right here about the contents of my soda pack. This is a Leatherman Signal. I can't tell you how much I love this multi-tool, more than any other multi-tool I've ever had. I do believe firmly in multi-tools, especially if you're doing a lot of field operating, because these are great for making antennas on the go, repairing things. It has a good enough, like you may have seen, that the pliers on here actually have kind of needle nose ends on them, which are really nice. I also find that when I'm using my little tiny wood burning stove, if I need to, I actually have access to a I actually have like a regular blade here, and then I have the saw blade, which I use sometimes for small branches and things. It comes in handy. It also has a I've used this to sharpen the knife. It actually has a little knife sharpener built into it. And under here, this is actually a strike piece so that you can start a fire. And there's also, I should say, Phillips head screw. I mean, there's some other things. You can look up what this is, but this has a replaceable, like Phillips or plain head screwdriver in it. I just love this thing. It's so useful, and best yet, it clips onto my pocket on my trousers, and it doesn't get in the way of anything. And I love that. Love this thing. I love it so much that I lost one of these and I actually bought another one. Yet they're like $120. They're very expensive. They're made in the States. They're super nice quality. You pay for those things, I guess. But I loved it enough. I bought another one. I mean, I couldn't do without it. I was so used to having it on me. I had one for over a year, and before I lost it. Okay, I should probably start this activation now, right? I got my coffee, I'm ready to go. Let's see if we can make it where you can see some stuff here. Again, I hope you're using the chapters thing and not sitting around and watching all of my running around and trying to make things work here. Good. Now I'm going to attempt to just, on the side, I'm going to log, but you should be able to see this logbook. Okay, let's see if we can actually get a signal. Oh, let me double check the power. Oh, I'm down to 0.1 watts. That's because yesterday I actually used 1/10 of a watt to do an activation. There we go. Please tune. Sometimes it won't, and you have to readjust the counterpoise. 2.9 to 1. Is it in the right position? Yes, it is. No, it's not. It's in the 17 meter position. I need to fix that. There we go. Now let's try it. There's a little switch on the side here. Yeah, 1 to 1. That's the problem. I was looking at it incorrectly. I was thinking that 20 was up here and 40 was down, but 20 is where you leave it when you're working 40. And then you have the 17 meter band. You have to flip that up. So let's see if this little guy will work. Okay, I need to spot myself. So let's go over here to the POTA app, or POTA.app, I should say. Let's take a look at this. Oh, tell me we got enough internet to make this work. That coffee's not too bad. And Rand, I am testing out this other instant coffee you mentioned. I do have some of it, so we can give it a go. So what I'll do is go ahead, I'll go ahead and set up the spot, the activation, because people with ham alert may start working me before I can. Listen to me, I'm sounding all optimistic. Here comes the rain. I'm glad that I'm here under the shelter. As long as we can get a signal out, I'll be happy. Oh wait, I'm adding an activation. I need to add a spot. Duh, okay. I'm so used to doing that. K4861. And the frequency is 14.0615. CW. Now, okay, CW, done. Frequency in kilohertz. 61.5, that's right. Done. Let's see if it takes the spot now. Yes, it did. Good. Now I'm going to switch back over to the Hammers app. I'll have to remove that KX1 or KX2 entry. We are in the 1900s right now. Come on, get out there, signal. This coffee is hot. Thanks for joining me today, by the way. Appreciate that. You can... I think the cool thing about watching... I don't always watch my videos all the way through, but I have to for notes and things like that afterwards. And sometimes I'm like talking to myself. I mean, I'm talking to myself here right now. Okay, here we go. Okay, no, I think I heard a E. No? Nobody? Okay. We'll go for somebody else then. Okay. Okay, I think, is that right? That's it. That's it. $19.15. Is that right? Sorry, this is a coffee break time. That's the reason I'm using that. The CW message memory. Okay, here we go. Oh, here we go. I ran out of room on my card, so I had to redo this. Okay, here we go. I just finished off this contact right here, and then I stopped everything, sent AS, and told everybody to wait for a second while I fixed the card. Had to delete. The funny thing is, we're underneath a shelter with a metal roof, and we're doing all this. This is so much fun. Somebody's moved in really close to me, I can tell. Whoops. Now I need to go in here in my logs and get rid of the KX2 entry at the very bottom. Delete. Okay, there we go. Now it'll tell me a true count. I'm at 10. Hey, I have a complete activation. That'll give me a chance to drink more coffee. Man, this is great radiotherapy, isn't it? Great signals into Illinois, Wisconsin. No Indianas yet. Okay. There we go, we're at 16. 16 and 16 minutes. It's for this reason I have a hard time believing when people tell me that the AX1 doesn't work. It works for us people on the East Coast and for people in areas where the propagation footprint is populated with hunters and stuff. If I were like in Hawaii, I don't know if it would work, to be honest. I think that would probably be a little challenging for it, having such a vast distance to cross, you know, with QRP and a little tiny antenna, but for here it works great. I think it'd work beautifully in Europe, like in the UK, Ireland, anywhere in Europe, Eastern Europe, just everywhere. There probably in Japan too would work really well, and some of those East Asian countries. Plenty of people around there. Anybody there? Nope. Okay. Let's move up to... Wait a minute. Was that somebody here? No, that's somebody answering somebody else off of the... Okay, good. Okay, let's see. Let's let it sit here for a second. Let's move up to... I've already done the activation. I mean, this is way more than I was planning to do right now. So let's just see if we can tack on a few more. I would fully expect 17 meters not to be that great today. It wasn't yesterday. So I don't think it'll be wonderful, but let's see what happens, right? I'm not hearing anybody there. I'm going to go ahead and hit... Oh, wait. No. I just have to wait on it. Okay, we need to move this up to... Move this little switch up. That switch is hard to get to. Is it up? Yes, it is. Let's try this again. Come on, do it, do it, do it. Telling it to be persistent and trying to find a match. I can move around the counterpoise and maybe that'll work. Nope. Okay, let's move the counterpoise a little bit. See if that makes a difference. Antennas like this that are compromised and really small, they can have such a huge impact on just the way they're deployed. Can have a really big impact. I'll try something totally different here. Let's see if it'll try it this way. Nope, it was worse than it was. Okay. If I can't get it to match, I may just call it quits on this. It's not a big deal. I need to hit the road anyway, but... Ah, come on, come on. You can do this. You can do that. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. It wasn't switched. That was the problem. Yeah, I'm already down to 2.8, 2.5, 1 to 1. Okay. Okay, so let me, I'm going to redeploy this the way I had it. That is one thing I think I'd like to change about the AX1, is that little switch is hard for me to tell when it's switched or not because the opening for it, that little aperture is so small. Okay, I'll have to do it again. So what I was going to say is, anytime you have an antenna like this that's electronically shortened, really compromised, you can guarantee that the bandwidth is much narrower on it. So the sweet spot's going to be very narrow where you have a good SWR. So if you tune away very far, you're going to have to retune again, sort of like a loop antenna. Or if the environment changes around you. I first found out about this when I was using this little antenna with a capacity hat. Now, what is a capacity hat? If I can remember, you'll have to remind me because there's no possible way I'll remember. I have this in the video. I'll link up here to a video I did on Cape Hatteras Island using the AX1 antenna hooked up to my ICOM IC705, which has no internal antenna tuner, so I still needed to tune it the rest of the way, so I designed this little capacity hat. And I can thank Linus, who has a great video on building a little capacity hat. And so I put this together, just soldered it together really quickly, and it works great. So at my house, I had like a 1-to-1 match on 20 meters without an ATU. I go to the coast, and I had to really kind of move it up and down the antenna to try to find that place where it had a good SWR. And that's just because the environment around it, there's so many little factors, the way it's set up, how close I am to the antenna, all those things can have a really big impact on the SWR with antennas like this. So it's very common. Here we go. I am not so certain that I'm going to catch anyone. Should I turn up the power? I don't know if I've got enough battery in here to do 10 watts with this, but let's see. Okay, let's see. No, I don't. I don't have enough battery. You know what I want to do? I'm going to retune it while I'm holding the paddle, because that extra bit of capacitance or whatever it is I have, 17 meters CW. See, if this were a fresh battery, by the way, that would have done 10 watts, but it's very much not so. I've done at least 3 activations with it. This may be my 3rd or it's my 4th, I'm not sure. So now I'm going to tune it while I'm holding it, so that while I'm holding it, I have a good match. Or a better match. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so now let's try it again. See, now the match is a little bit better. If I let go of it, the SWR goes up to 2-to-1, which isn't horrible, but since I'm holding it most of the time I'm sending, that's the way I'll do it. You have to do funky little things like this with compromised antennas. So I'm on 17 meters now, and I'll be happy if I get 2 contacts on 17 meters today. Unless for some reason there's just excellent propagation, which I doubt it. I can put up my coffee stuff while I'm waiting. I like how compact all of this is. Okay. What I love about this is I'm out here in a park with a little radio, shooting 5 watts, so a little teeny antenna, making contacts all over the place. And you just think about other people that don't know about ham radio, and they're like using smartphones and stuff. Just not the same. It's not nearly as fun. I was checking to make sure my preamp's on too. This radio is so quiet, and this is a really quiet area, so it's kind of hard to tell sometimes if things are working well. It'd be nice to get 1 contact at least. Let's see if it's respotting me. 10 dB, yeah, it's got me. Could be worse. Yesterday when I was running 1/10 of 1 watt, QRPP they call it, I was getting 529, 539 reports pretty consistently, which is not surprising when you're running that little power. I was telling someone that I think I've been shocked by more static electricity than that. It's just fun to experiment and just see what you can do with so little. Why did I put a T in there? Did I get his call correctly? Okay, we'll cut it really short. I'm sure that this station was having a hard time hearing me, and possibly there's a little QS Baker moving in because they didn't hear me come back to them at all. I've gotten one though, and that's what I wanted, at least one. Thank you, N5PJ. It's quickly approaching Christmas at the time I'm doing this video, which is what, December 8th. And as with every year, it seems like things get busier and busier as that time of the year comes up. I have a lot of ham radio stuff going on. This week, tomorrow, recording an episode of Ham Radio Workbench with George. I think it's going to be George, Mike, Mark, and I don't think Rod can be there, and possibly Vince may be there. But I'm really looking forward to it. I love those guys, and it's just so much fun. It's like having a little ham radio club meeting. So I really love it. And they're meeting a little early, which is nice. It'll be easier for me to stay awake. But don't tell them I like it so much, okay? Nah, you can tell them. They're great guys. I mean, their enthusiasm is so infectious. People joke about, listening to the episodes and you end up buying things like test equipment and all kinds of other stuff because they're so enthusiastic about this stuff that it's infectious. And I've bought all kinds of things. While I'm mowing, I've listened to the podcast, and because it's a really long format. It's like 3 hours long. And I've gotten a lot of ideas, but I've gotten some really, really good equipment by listening to them because these are things they've vetted, and they all are really good technicians and stuff. So that's really wonderful. And then Saturday, I've got a portable ops presentation to do for the Long Island CW Club. I'm looking forward to doing that. I'm actually on their little committee for helping find new people, but I haven't been able to participate much. I've had such a crazy family life. I don't have time right now, unfortunately, but I want to help them every way I can because I love the Long Island CW Club. So I hope maybe that went off without a hitch. I'm going to talk about choosing a field portable antenna. I'll try one more CQ. I heard somebody send a question mark just then. I think. Wasn't that what they sent? You can rewind. I can't do that. I'll keep this going a little bit, but you know what? I need to start packing up, actually. Now, the weird thing is, so I've got like, not just a little bit of coffee in here, but I normally would clean this stuff with the water I have left over in my bottle, but I don't have any water left over in my bottle right now. So I may leave these out and clean them at the house. It's probably time that at least this stainless one goes through the dishwasher. I don't know. I'll go ahead and pack it up, and then I'll just take it out at the house and clean it. I like to stay organized, and when I have things that are not where they're supposed to be, it makes me nervous. In my pack, now I would say my shack is not that way. I'm not as organized in my shack, but I want to be, just not. I figured that 17 meters was going to be this way, just kind of like super random contacts that may come through. That's the way it was yesterday, basically. But it opens up the door to people who maybe want to work this park and they can't hear me on 20 meters, so put this up here a little higher. Here we go. Let's see. Let's put this off to the side. I'll try to fit this in while I'm... It's not as easy to do when I'm... Don't have to pack up vertically, but it should be in there. There we go. This, important stuff. I carry this little bit of Badger sunscreen with me everywhere. Oh, got to put my never leave home without your flame, your blaze vest. High vis vest for any of the parks we go to where people do hunting. Whoops. Yes, got to put up my plate too. These plates are so thin and so wonderful. I have 2 of them in my pack. Do I need them? No, but they just weigh nothing. And I use them, hardly ever actually use them as plates. I use them for supporting other things. Especially my coffee. But I have used them as plates. What am I saying? I've definitely eaten off of those before. On soda activations. And when camping. Okay. I'll let it run 2 more times. Then I'm going to turn it off and we'll pack up the rest of the way. Ooh, before I do that though, I've got to take some photos. I always forget to do this. You hear me say that in every video, but it's true. I forget, and then I'm stuck there with no video or photos for my blog post, and to me that's like a really important aspect. My blog post I spend way more time doing than anything else. Here we go. I'll take a little picture like that, like this. I've been running at a little bit higher SWR since I haven't been touching it, but hey, I don't care. KX2 can handle that. There we go. Now, I'm going to move back to the 14 meter band because I want to take some photos. I like to include photos of the bands I worked on. That way I can remember that too. Here we go. I like to get a lot of different angles because I have kind of like a whole library of photos I keep on QRP because they come in handy sometimes. Plus, I don't know, I like giving radios a little bit of love. I like them looking good in the field. Okay, I think I've done enough there. Let's turn this guy off. So I'm gonna put this, let's roll this up, put it in my top pocket here. I'll have to pull this out. This is where the camera will go once I'm done. I'm gonna pack up the camera. It's my camera and my battery. When I get home, I've got to dump all the stuff off of this card. I've had such a crazy week. I haven't had enough time to do that, and I keep running out of space in my card because, especially last time, golly, was my video really long. Actually, I'm going to leave this up here so you can see more as I'm packing this up. Okay. Oh, first of all, let's make sure that we have the Hammers app. Yeah, so it's got the log in there. 17 contacts, not bad. You know, let's look at it and see if it shows me the map. This is not always super accurate. But hey, that's not bad. It's probably not everyone. It doesn't always include them, and I think sometimes that's because the internet connection when it's trying to do it maybe isn't, you know, when it's trying to draw the map isn't all that great. Put my logbook up. Very much a start to finish thing here. See, all you need is this little radio and this little antenna and a logbook, and you can play POTA wherever. I really do believe it. I want to take this, when I go on a trip to the West Coast, I want to play with this way more because I've heard people say on the West Coast it's not as successful with the AX1. And then there are other parts of the world, if you're in a place that's pretty remote, it may not work that well, but I've been in Quebec City, and Quebec City is not exactly remote, but there's not a lot to the north and east of it, yeah, they're the Maritimes and stuff, but not a whole lot of amateur radio operators. I mean, it's fairly sparse compared to, you know, the eastern half of the U.S., for example. But this worked marvelously up there. I'd like to go sometime to like Alberta or Saskatchewan and try it from there. I think it'd be really fun to try it from Alaska. I suspect it'd be challenging to use it in Alaska because Alaska, again, in that footprint, probably doesn't have a lot of other amateur radio operators. But I feel like from the West Coast, it should work. You've got, you know, ops all the way up and down the West Coast. And I work a lot of hunters in Arizona and Nevada. And probably that would reach out to Texas and Oklahoma, just like we can hit from here. So, yeah, I think it would work. Okay, let's lower this guy first. Then unscrew this. Put this in my pack. And you may look here and say, Thomas, is that a second telescoping whip you have? It is. Actually, that was my original one, and the very top portion of it, you can't tell in this, but the top portion tends to want to come out, and so I told Elecraft, and they just sent me another one, because it was true. It's just a little faulty something with that particular one. See if I can fit this in here. There we go. I'll take this off, and I just leave the bipod on when I'm using this. I just leave it on here. And counterpoise. Can't forget the counterpoise. Take that off. Do my little figure 8 with this. And put it in its bag. Still use these same poly bags they sent with it, because it keeps them separated in my pack, and that's fine with me. I just push the air out of them before I stow them, so they're not all puffy in there. Fits really nicely in this pocket here of the pack. I also have attachments in here to hook this up to a little mini tripod. In fact, sometimes I have the mini tripod in here. I don't have it in here right now. And this is my, of course, my capacity hat. Thank you, Lima Yankee 2 Hotel, for that idea. If you haven't checked out Linus's channel, you need to check it out. He is just such a cool guy. I really enjoy his stuff. Go subscribe to him. Okay, let's see. Let's put this up now. I have the microphone here at the moment. Oh, and this is like, this came with my KX2 I bought recently. I don't really need it in here, but I brought it when I had the KX2 with me and stuck it back in this pack. I'll put it on top, so when I go home and pull the microphone out, I will also pull that out. I'll probably try to remember to recharge my KX2 battery. And then in here, I simply, this is sitting out because I had my battery pack out this morning, checking its charge. It's just a little rechargeable lithium pack. Put this in here. Get my little knee board out of the way. There we go. There we go. It's hard to do this with hands tied up like this. Put the AX1 in there. Put this in there. And really the only thing I got to do now is put up my camera and my tripod. See, I didn't need to touch anything in this. I brought this little blue bag. This has a whole bunch of extra accessories in it. And I keep this in the car for if I just need something different. Like I decide to change antennas, or I don't know. It's just like, it's full of all kinds of stuff. Extra batteries. I knew I probably wouldn't need it here today, but hey, brought it anyway. Okay, let's see. And yeah, so that's really it. Actually, that's all. So I'll put my bag up here, finish this. I can't put up the tripod, can't put up the camera yet. And that's it. Wow, awesome. Thank you so much for joining me today. You're hearing the camera shake around as I do this. This was awesome. And you know what? It only rained once while I was in here. That's not too bad. That could have been a lot worse. I do love Tuttle. This is such a neat park. See, I'm thinking about doing, and I mentioned this last year and didn't do it because I just got too busy and I was gone the whole summer. But I was thinking about doing in this shelter as soon as they reopen everything, I want to do a POTA gathering here. Just local POTA people come by and just kind of talk and play and hop on the air. I really want to do that this spring. What they do is they shut down all the water. So the water fountains and the restrooms and everything up here, they're closed by the end of December. And I don't want to hold something like that without restrooms and other facilities that we need. But the park's just awesome. I've activated every place on this park, I think. If I had time today, I'd love to go on a hike, but I don't have time. That, and probably frankly, the one thing that really messes me up is when you have a really wet trail, and there's some slippery parts on the trail here, and I'd rather not hit those today because my ankle's doing really well. Yeah, I love it. I need to build one of these firewood holders. Actually, that would be really simple to do. I need to take a picture of that. Why don't you take a picture for me? That's just some 2x4s. That's nice. Well, 2x4s and 4x4s, it looks like. Yeah, it's very simple. I've got a large one at home that holds, it's like a whole shed that I put my firewood in, but it'd be nice to have something smaller closer by to stack wood. And that looks really easy to do, actually. Let me build one of those. Okay, I get too easily distracted. I need to hop in the car, head on my way back home, and gonna run by the post office and pick up some stuff. I know that one of my wife's gifts has come in. I need to pick that up. And I probably won't do any activations this weekend. If I do, it's definitely going to be a surprise activation because I've got so many other things going on this weekend. And my daughters have some events and things to go to, so I'm going to be busy. Anyway, speaking of busy, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to watch this. And I hope I haven't bored you to sleep. I've always said that my videos are sort of a cure for insomnia, and they probably are. But I'm just happy you joined me out here. This is really nice. It's really good therapy for me to come out here and just kind of spend time outdoors playing radio and making contacts with so many of the POTA family. I mean, that's just, to me, it's just so much fun. And it gets my head out of the work I do and everything else. It just allows us to have a little time to sit back and just have fun, just doing something that, like I said, it's extraordinary because most people are at home on their tablets and their phones and their computers, and you know, the way they communicate is just by email or something, but anybody can do that. This is fun because it doesn't require any other infrastructure. It's just you and your radio and someone else in their radio. And I love that. I love that we're just using the ether in order to make our connection instead of having, you know, bits and bytes and routers and everything else kind of funnel our traffic. It's just direct and it's fun. And I think it's a really good skill to have anytime. I think anywhere you live, I think it's a good skill to know how to use radio. Anyway, I better hush up and hit the road. Thank you so much for joining me again, and take care. I hope if the holidays haven't already passed, I hope you have a really good holiday season. Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate. I hope you have a wonderful time celebrating it, and I hope you have a really happy new year. And if those things have already passed, which would not be too weird because I'm way behind on my videos right now, I hope you had an amazing holiday season, and I hope you got some really good radio gifts. Okay, thank you so much for joining me, and until next time, 7 threes.